We've already talked you through all the free transfers that potentially could be available, but what players who cost money should Forest be going for this window? Let's go through them. Welcome to Wolverine shopping list. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you're having a fantastic day and welcome to my shopping list. This is going to be a list of players who I believe are achievable, obtainable, can come to Forest, who come at a decent price and who do make a huge difference to our team. And I want to know what you guys think about these players. Who would you take and who wouldn't you from the Wolverine shopping list? Before we get into it, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new here and enjoying all the daily Forest transfer news, content and everything else related to Nottingham Forest. And don't forget, you've only got a couple of hours to grab the Steve Cooper signed shirt. There's only, I think, 8 tickets left, so make sure you grab those, and only 29 in total. And go follow us on all our social medias. They are there for you now and in the description. All right, guys, let's jump into this. This is going to be a fun video. I can't wait for you guys to see my list. Okay, so how we're going to do this is I'm going to split it by position. So I think there are certain positions that Forest must strengthen in. I still do think we need some squad depth, etc. But for Forest to progress further this season, these are the positions I think are most important. Obviously, goalkeeper and left back go without saying, but it's looking more and more likely that Hendo will be in and Lodi potentially. So we'll touch on those to start with, but we won't go into too much detail. The key positions for me are CDM. CDM, I think, is going to be the most important position, and left winger. And I do think we still need more firepower up front. And I got some gems of names to share with you guys. So let's get started and let's just quickly cover off the goalkeeper situation. It's looking like Forest are going to get Henderson. Apparently Forest don't want to pay any more than 25. Man U are still trying to negotiate 30. I think we'll end up around 20 mil, to be honest, on that one. If Forest don't get Henderson though, Livakovic would still be my next choice. Livakovic with a 10 million euros release clause is absolutely perfect for Forest, but I still would prefer Dean Henderson. Now, left back is a bit more at the moment because of Lodi's whole personal situation, the price tag. Can we get Atleti to negotiate lower to where we want rather than to where they want? So that could take longer, but I do have some names at left back that I think could replace Lodi. And the first one that comes to mind is a player that can play both left back and right back and should be available, and that's Kyle Walker-Peters from Southampton. Sorry, Mike, but a few of your players have made my shopping list. He can play at left back, he can play at right back. He played very well at left back for Southampton, and I think he would cost in and around about 20 million for that left back. So if we can't get Lodi, then Kyle Walker-Peters would be perfect, and about the same price as Lodi and Premier League experience, both at Spurs and Southampton. So he would be my second choice. The other person I have on my list is from the league in MLS, and his name is Kai Wagner. He is a fantastic player, playing for Philadelphia even. He is really good, really fast, has had a great season, and I don't think would cost us that much, and could be either a great backup to Lodi anyway, or someone who could probably break into the first team. I do regard him that highly. So those would be my 3 choices: Lodi, Kyle Walker-Peters, and Wagner at left back. I don't want to spend too much time on left backs because I think Lodi will eventually get over the line. It may be a slow burner. And let's move on into the most important position for me. Well, actually, before we do that, let's talk centre backs. Okay, so I'm just going to say his name because I always do, but Lacroix from Wolfsburg, worth about 20 million, release fee of 40 million, probably going to move to a bigger club at the moment, may not move at all from Wolfsburg. He is absolute top notch, creme de la creme of defenders. And Forest, if you're watching, I don't think you are, but if you are, please go check him out, man. Just even Google him. You'll absolutely love him just off Google. He is my number one choice. He has been since last summer. Do I see it happening? No. So we'll move on from him. There are two names that I think would be really, really good. And one is Bella Tomato Ketchup from Southampton. I think he's actually really good. Although Jono did turn him inside out when we played Southampton. He went off injured, so he'd probably fit in quite well at Forest. I think he would be an absolute brilliant acquisition. I think it would cost us in and around 15 to 20 million for him, depending on what release fee clauses Southampton may or may not have in that. But he would be really good. Prem experience, bit of a unit. I like him. I'd be very happy with him. And the third one I have is from a club that I really like in France, from Lille. And his name is Dijalo. His first name's Thiago Dijalo. This guy is a youngster who's a bit of a hella defender. Really, really good, really fast, really athletic, young, and has that mold that once he needs a bit more physique about him. But honestly, from all the games I've seen him play, I've been very, very impressed. He's Portuguese. He would only cost us, I think, in and around 12 to 14 million euros. And either he could be, I think he's good enough to come straight in the first team, or he could be developed into the team depending on how quickly he would adapt to the Premier League. He would be an absolutely fantastic signing for me. Okay, moving on to what I believe is the most important position this transfer window, and that's CDM. And this is where I would spend big outside of strikers on this position. I value a CDM as one of the most important positions in a football team because they're the unsung hero. They do all the ugly, dirty work. But what they allow is the rest of the team to push up. If you have yourself a good CDM, let's have a look at, say, Decore at Crystal Palace, for example. Players like that can almost play on their own in the midfield. I'm exaggerating, but you get what I mean. It allows the rest of the midfield to push up the pitch. So obviously, it's been no secret. First on my shopping list, the moment Leeds went down, was Tyler Adams. And I think he would fit in beautifully at Forest. It's probably going to cost about 30 million. There are talks of Sevilla being interested in him now, maybe getting him out on loan with an option to buy it, etc. I think Forest will have a crack at him. I hope so. There's been links with us to Tyler Adams, and I think Forest would actually be more attractive than Sevilla. I know they won the Europa League, but they finished quite low in the Spanish league this season. So maybe Forest, and he settles in England now, could help. No language barriers. I'm trying to sell the story. But anyway, he's my number one choice. The second one from me is from PSV, and that's Sangara, man. He is an absolute unit of a player. He was very loosely linked with Forest last summer. He is going to be expensive. We are looking at in and around 30 million for him. But believe you me, this is the kind of money we need to be spending. What I don't want to see is a scattergun approach this summer, even though I was very happy with the recruitment of last year. I do want to see some quality spent on players, maybe 4 or 5 players, 30 million, maybe even 40 million on each player. This is Premier League level spending, and we need to start doing it. Messing around with the 10 to 12 millions, that was for last year. Now we've really got to establish ourselves, and he would be absolutely perfect for Forest if we didn't get Tyler Adams. The next one on this list is even more of a unit, and it's Seko Fofana. Seko Fofana is absolutely beast-like. Playing for Lens, so Samba can tell him how great Forest are. He would cost us, I think, about 25 million, there or thereabouts. And he's an absolute beast. If you guys haven't seen him, he's huge. He's tongued. He's built like Adama Traore. He's not that fast, but very versatile and very mobile. And not only does he play as a CDM, he kind of plays more higher up. So he'll get shots off on the edge of the box. He'll score a couple of goals a season. The only big worry I have about him is that he's from the Ivory Coast. And it's nothing to do with the Ivory Coast. I love the Ivory Coast. Never been there, but I'm sure it's lovely. But it's about the African Cup of Nations coming up in January. And as he's from the Ivory Coast, that could cause us some issues. And we'll do a whole video on it because there's going to be players like Marinakis that will have to go. There's going to be Awani, if we've still got Dennis, players like that could all be going away to the African Cup of Nations. So do we really want to add another African nationality into the team? Fofana, I would be willing to give him up for those 6 to 7 weeks and hope that Ivory Coast go out in the group stages, because he's an absolute beast of a player and would work so well at Forest. What do you guys think? Those three, any one of them would be perfect for us. Okay, so I've got 3 names for you here for left wingers, and I love all 3 of them, and I think any 3 would work. I really do. I'll start with the guy we got on the thumbnail, which is Gnonto. Gnonto, for me, I was really impressed with him this season, especially when he played against Forest. He destroyed Nico Williams, but then Serge pocketed him nicely. He started really hot at the start of Leeds' campaign, and then I don't know what happened, but it seems like he had a falling out with Grazio when he came in, and then wasn't fully utilised with Sam Allardyce in the last 4 games. I don't know why he's been dropped, if it's a form thing or not. I know a lot of the Leeds fans were crying out for him to play. However, he wouldn't be that expensive with Leeds now being in the Championship. I love saying that. He would probably cost us in and around 15 million. The only thing I have about him is physically he's not a bit of a specimen. But do you really need that with wingers, when wingers are designed, or should be designed, to be fast, versatile, get a cross in, get a shot in, a couple of goals, etc. So I would be happy with him. I don't think he's my number 1 choice. I really like player number 2, who we've spoken about before, which is Bamba. Bamba, for me, free transfer, quality player, again coming from the French league, again coming from Lille. You may or may not know this, I've watched a lot of Lille. He is really good and I've always rated him. And the fact that he's on a free, he should be gone after, even if we were to get Gnonto or we were to get the other player I'll talk about in a second. I think he's an absolute must try and buy for Nottingham Forest. The third player on the list, and this one I really do like, and there was talks of him in the January window, and that's Danjuma. Danjuma, who's gone to Spurs and didn't get a chance there. He used to play for Brighton, currently at Villarreal, I believe. He's probably going to be about 25 mil, but he is absolute quality. 9 games at Spurs, scored 1 goal. Good goal at that when he came on. But he wasn't given his chance. For whatever reason, Conte didn't fancy him. I don't know if it was a Levy signing and Conte was protesting, a bit like he did against Spence. But I think Danjuma would be so good at Nottingham Forest, especially on that left-hand side, and give us the balance and the force that we need. But out of those 3, who would be your choice for left wing? Or do you have someone else in mind? There are loads of wingers we could go after. There is still talks that Dennis may stay, which would be great news. But I still would look at least one of those 3 in this window. What do you guys think? Okay, let's move it forward into the striker position. And this is always the fun one to talk about. Look, we spoke about Moussa Dembele in the free transfer video. He still is right up there on my list. What a bargain that would be. A guy who does banging goals, has dried up a little, yes, this season, but is still a fantastic player. Would be absolutely perfect for Nottingham Forest. And to bring in a striker of his caliber for free would be fantastic. Remember, we were linked with him 12 months ago. There was talks he was going to come in and it never materialized. Hopefully this time we can bring him in. So he would be probably my number 2 choice of striker. I'm going to give you 4 strikers here. The other one that really has impressed and has been banging him in left, right and centre right now is Lookman. Lookman for Atalanta has been next level, scoring I think 13 to 15 goals this season. A player who is versatile across the front 3, but is being utilised as a striker currently at Atalanta and is banging him in. He's going to cost us a lot of money, but strikers do. And remember, we could have technically Agent Freuler, who could talk to the Atlanta boys, could discuss with them, see how things are, tell them how great Nottingham is. Maybe that could be a help. Look, there are no links to these players or some of these players that I'm talking about. He's more of a wish list for me rather than a realist target there. But the one who I think we would have a great chance at is Rodrigo from Leeds. He scored a bagload of goals last season in the Premier League. He put in 13 in the league in an injury-struck season, and he is a good profile fit for Nottingham Forest. He would only cost max 8 mil. The talks are that Leeds are probably going to offload him, and it's going to be in and around the £4 to £5 million mark. And that for me is an absolute bargain on a player who scored as many goals as he did last season. Would have been Forest's top goal scorer with that amount of goals. And as I mentioned, an injury-struck season. So he would be my number one choice for realistic, if you like, targets that Forest could bring. Now, I'm not saying drop Taiwo for him. What I'm saying is let's challenge with the players we bring in rather than just putting on bench warmers. And I think Rodrigo would demand to be played, and that can be nothing but good for Forest, as it would force Taiwo to up his game even further than he already has. So for me, he would be a fantastic addition. What do you guys think? Okay, let's have a little fun here, and I want you guys to get involved. Is give me your dream signings. Now, I'm not saying going for a Messi or a Ronaldo here, but someone who maybe people have forgotten about and someone who is perfect for Nottingham Forest. Could cost 50 million, 60 million. Let's put a limit of about 60 million on this one. And I'm going to get the ball rolling with two names for you. The first name is a name that should have been in the Premier League years ago. Why he gets ignored, I have no idea. He is one of the best finishers in world football, in my opinion, and has never not bagged goals in. And that for me is Ben Yedder. Ben Yedder, who plays at Monaco, currently 32 years old, but still putting the goals in left, right, and centre. I don't know if Monaco would ever let him go because he is that good, but he is valued in and around 20 million. I would personally pay 30 million for him. I have an ageist agenda. I don't like bringing people in who are over 30. However, for Ben Yedder, I would 1,000,000% make an absolute exception for him. He's double-footed, basically, can bang him in with his right, banging him with his left. Only problem with him is his height, but that doesn't stop him from scoring bucket loads of goals. He is one hell of a striker, and I don't really understand how no one's forced him into the Premier League before. So Forest, if you're watching, get Ben Yedder in. My second choice, and this one is the crazy, deluded one, if you like, would be Jonathan David. Jonathan David, again at Lille. Absolute pace merchant. Really good on both feet and scores goals for absolute fun. However, you're looking at in and around 60 million for him. But if Forest were to pull that off, what a signing that would be. It really would. That's my shopping list there. What do you guys think to it? Let me give you the maths on it as well. So if Forest were to buy one of each of those positions of those players I mentioned, let's have a look at what the spend would be. If we got Henderson, let's call that 20 mil for now. If we were to get Lodi or say Kyle Walker-Peters, that's another 20-ish mil. So we're looking at 40, let's call it 50 just to round it up in case of add-ons and things like that. If we then add in a centre-back, Bella Kocher, you're looking at 70. Tyler Adams would push us to 100. If we got Bamba, he would be in on a free, so we're still at 100. But let's say Nonto came in for 15, you're looking at 115. And then strikers, if you were to look at Dembele, he's on a free, or Rodrigo would be 5 mil. We're looking at a total spend of 100 to 120 million, depending on what fees would be agreed. And I actually think that's in and around the price bracket that Forest will have to spend this summer to progress further up the league. In fact, I think they'll need to spend a little more with bolstering the squad. However, remember, we will have a lot of players leaving in the summer, so some of those funds can go back into the war chest. But I think that's how much we need to spend. And we're talking about 5 of 6 players here, rather than bringing in 23 as we did last summer. So now for me, it's more about the quality than the quantity, and it needs to be in the key and correct positions. So what do you guys think? What is your list? I want to know. Give me maybe your top 3 players that you want to sign, or let me know what positions are the most important for you. Obviously, it goes without saying goalkeeper and left back, so you don't need to add those in unless you got some crazy cool names that you'd like to chuck in. Let me know down in the comments below. If you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you've enjoyed this video, or even if you haven't, just hit that subscribe button. And we will see you on the next video. Make sure to go and check the high press out, as Dina will be doing Premier League transfer updates on those. The link for that as well is in the description. We'll see you on the next video, and come on you Reds.